We're going to stay in Africa and look at how the hunt for profits is hurting wildlife. And we'll begin with some good news from the world's largest conference for the conservation of wildlife taking place in Johannesburg. Delegates from 183 countries pledged to fight the illegal trade of endangered species at the CITES conference in Johannesburg. They're already agreed to protect 34,000 species of plants and animals. Another 500 species, including pangolins and thresher sharks and grey parrots, have been added to the list. And delegates voted against lifting bans on the trade in ivory and rhino horn. But some countries from southern Africa aren't on board. So what happens if some of those countries don't honour the ban? Here's the conservation economist, Michael Sas-Rolfes, who's in Johannesburg.
The only real recourse that other countries have, if one country is not to be seen to be completely fulfilling its obligations, is to, well, apart from naming and shaming them, is to threaten them with trade sanctions, and those would be trade sanctions that would apply to all other trade in wildlife products. Now, that might be a very persuasive threat in certain instances, but in other cases it might not, where countries don't particularly have large volumes of trade in other species. So most countries just rely then on political embarrassment to try and encourage countries to do what they can. It's unfortunate in a way because some of these countries also aren't very well resourced. They don't have the capacity necessarily to, when suddenly an illegal trade develops very quickly and organized criminal networks develop, these countries don't necessarily have the capacity to deal with that immediately, and it takes time and resources to develop that. So it's kind of awkward.
Now, another development from the CITES conference is that Swaziland's request to trade in white rhino horn has been rejected. The black market for white rhino horn in Southeast Asia and China has really taken its toll over the past few years. According to CITES, rhino poaching has increased dramatically as a result. In 2014, over 1,200 rhino were poached in South Africa alone, an increase of over 9,000% in less than 10 years. In recent years, the price of rhinoceros horn has increased to around $90,000 per kilogram. That's more than twice the price of gold per kilogram. Well, let's bring in Surev Roy now. He's the TRT World science reporter. We heard in that little report there that it's Southeast Asia and China where the demand is strong for rhinoceros horn. What exactly are they using it for?
Unfortunately, Matt, a large percentage of people in China and in Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam believe that the rhinoceros horn has medicinal properties and that it can cure diabetes, cancer, respiratory disorders, and also fix your sexual libido. Now, when you start believing in beliefs like that without any scientific or empirical evidence, you're fueling a trade which unfortunately is dangerous towards the rhinoceros, because all it does is leads to more poaching. And therefore you see a sharp decline in the population of rhinos.
Yeah, which is what we saw in that graphic there. How dangerous is it? I mean, is it pushing the rhino to extinction? Absolutely.
Over the last couple of years, we now just have barely a few thousand rhinoceros left in the wild. In South Africa alone, over 1,000 rhinoceros were killed last year. And the biggest irony is that the rhinoceros horn doesn't have any medicinal properties. It's made out of keratin, which is the same substance that your hair and nails or horses' hooves or bird beaks are made of. So, yeah, it's pushed the animal to the edge of extinction.
And for no good reason. Okay, Surev, thank you very much. Appreciate it.